G'day and welcome to the Pursuit of Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Rosie Burrows, and I'm on a journey to find my freedom so that I can help you do exactly the same. Join me each week as I share the stories of everyday people who have found their own paths to freedom. I'm not going to focus on job titles and accolades because I don't care about that stuff, and neither should you. I want to uncover what truly makes you tick. Who are you when you step away from society's expectations and follow your heart? I still haven't figured it out yet. Have you? Either way, buckle up because it's going to be one hell of a ride. Welcome back to the Pursuit of Freedom podcast. This is actually the second time I've recorded this intro because we got about 5 minutes in before realizing that silly me hadn't hit the record button. But here we go. I've got my shit together. Joining me today is the amazing Jeni Raitsin. She lives in Tel Aviv, where she has been a mental fitness coach for the past 6 years. But prior to this, she was actually an architect for a decade. I can't wait to unpack Jeni's story, learn more about what mental fitness is, because I actually have no idea, how it changed her life, and how it can change my life and hopefully your life too. So Jeni, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Let's go back to when you were an architect because I'm intrigued how you went from there to where you are today. So what was life like for you as an architect and how even did you end up doing that role?
Wow, it's a long story, but I think for the majority of my life up until my 30s, life was very normal, regular. Went to university, got my degree, did the internship, got a good job in the center of the city, living my best life, was with my high school boyfriend. Like everything was the way you should be living life or the way I thought I should be living life, very according to the norm, very inside the box. And I think that up until a certain point, I didn't realize that there was life outside, like that you can even do something different. I grew up in the same place. Tel Aviv is a big city, but still like everybody living kind of like the same life, going through the same path. You get a degree, you get a good job, you get married, 2.5 kids, get a mortgage, die. Like this is what my parents also taught me that was a good life. This is what I thought I should be striving for. And I think like I achieved it and life was looking really, really good on the outside. Like I felt like I had it all. I was a very successful architect. I just won an award, got promoted to be a team leader. Like I thought everything was fine, but there was like this nagging feeling / little voice in the back of my mind that was just like, okay, I got all the things that I was working really hard for, but I'm really not happy. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is happening? I remember just having multiple conversations with different people saying like, wait, is this it? Like, is this how it's supposed to feel? Like, am I supposed to feel something like different? Should I be happy with what I have? And I think it was a really, really confusing time. And the breaking point was actually a breakup with my former partner.
Literally a breaking point. Yeah.
Literally a breaking point. And then I was just, I think, I don't even know what was going on through my mind, but I said like, okay, I have all this free time. Let's put in more time into work. Like, let me be like the best. I just got promoted. Let me prove myself. I'm going to be like, I moved to an apartment in the center of the city. Let me be like an independent woman. I'm going to be like the best in my career. And I think for almost a year, like this is what I did. In hindsight, I was just filling up my time and was really, really busy just so I won't have to deal with a lot of emotions that I didn't want to deal with. So I was working hours and hours in the office, but after that, I was just like, again, on the outside, living my best life. I was doing like working out every day and going out and like learning Italian and photography and taking classes and like,
wow,
was busy literally like 24/7. And after about a year of this, I realized that like, okay, first of all, I'm very much burnt out, like I can't even. And randomly or not randomly, maybe from the universe, I said, okay, like I need a vacation, a long vacation. I just want to go away for a while. In that couple of months, I already started going through therapy, and I started reading a lot of books on like personal development, about productivity. I'm like, okay, how can I manage my time better so I can have time for all the things that I'm doing and not
Yeah.
like burn out? And also a lot of books about like positive psychology, because I still believe that like something was wrong with me, that I have all these achievements and things and I'm
Mm.
not happy about it. So I'm like, okay, how can I be happy? Because my very rational brain thinks that I can like solve every problem
Of
with
course.
a
Yeah.
book, or like I just can learn everything. And I just said, okay, I need a vacation. I need a break. I want to get away. And this ad popped up on my screen in work one day and said, like, join a digital nomad community in exotic locations around the world. And I'm like, okay, click. And
Wow.
then it was very serendipitous, random. I don't know how to say it, but it was an advertising for a company that did like digital nomad workations. It was a bunch of
Okay.
30-plus-year-olds working remotely in different location, 1 month at a time. And just remind you, that was the end of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-COVID, pre-remote work, it wasn't a thing, especially not in architecture where you literally have to be,
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
a very physical profession. And I said to my boss at the time, like, I want to go for 2 months and I'm going to take my work with me. Like, don't worry. And she's like, what? No, like, that's not a thing. And I'm like, okay, so I'm going to quit. Like, I literally cannot handle, like, I can't. And she's like, no,
Wow.
no, don't quit. Like, you're in the middle of a big project. We can't have you quit. It's fine. Do your thing. And I
Mm.
went to Brazil, work remotely like 75% of the time.
Yeah.
Got to meet a lot of people from different locations around the world, entrepreneurs, people that were literally living their best life. I was working in front, like I had like a beach view, workspace, office. I was working half of the time, and the other time I was just living, like truly got to live life and breathe. And I was really, really happy, I think, for the first time in a while. And I think it
Mm.
just cracked the understanding of like, oh, you do get to, like, there are other options for you. You don't have
Yeah.
to figure out how to be content with what you have if what you have doesn't make you happy. And this was kind of like the beginning. And I came back from Brazil. It took a couple of months, but I quit my job, went to Mexico at the time, decided that I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I had
Mm-hmm.
this idea for a social enterprise that was again still related to what I was doing. It was in the realm of urban planning, which was my
Okay.
expertise back then. So I'm like, okay, I still got all these skills.
Mm-hmm.
Let me kind of try to be an entrepreneur. I met so many entrepreneurs, they changing their world, they want to do better, like I want to be the same. Let me do that. One thing that I didn't mention, that when I went to Brazil, a friend kind of told me, because it was months of me reading all these books and
Mm-hmm.
constantly like talking about it. You know, when you get to personal development, you feel like
Oh
you
yeah.
discovered a
Oh
new
yeah.
like a new realm, and you just won't shut up about it, and you
Yeah.
talk to everybody just about what you learn. So this was me in the last month in the office, and my friends said like, hey, you know so much, and now you're going on this adventure. It's so unique. Write a blog about it, like share it with people, like people want
Mm.
to know. And I'm like, what blog? Like, again, it was way before Instagram was really Instagram. It was still an app with like pictures and like sharing personal
Mm.
life. It wasn't what it is today. And I'm like, blog, I don't know how to write. Like, who's gonna read it? I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to set up anything. But when I got to Brazil and I saw all these people, I'm like, maybe I am gonna write a blog. And
Mm.
then I started what is now Leisure Hacker. It was a blog about how to hack happiness into our life. It was around time management, all the techniques I learned. It was about like positive psychology and happiness and how to hack leisure into the life we already have. Like, I feel like it was what I needed to read
Mm-hmm.
back in
Mm-hmm.
the day when I was in the office and just like struggling.
Yeah. Whoa. I want to go to something. You mentioned it a couple of times. You thought something was wrong with you. And I know I have felt that way before, and a lot of other people have felt that way. Why do you think we assume something is wrong with us?
I think it's just we're so conditioned by society to believe that
Mm-hmm.
there's one way to live life. And if you don't fit this mold, so it's very primal, by the way. It's how our brain, today I know this is how our brain wired, because
Mm-hmm.
your brain won't tell you like something wrong with everybody else, because then it threatens your survival as a human being. So if you're like the
Mm-hmm.
mold is okay and everybody again seems to be happy, social media, everybody's posting, everybody is living their best life, and you're off, so something must be wrong with you. And I think now more and more we hear, and this is why it's so important to share these stories and say like, hey, nothing is wrong with you. There's so
Yes.
many people that are feeling this way, but when nobody speaks
Mm-hmm.
about it, you just think like, okay, everybody else is okay, so probably I'm the problem.
Do you think there's shame tied with that? Because you said we don't talk to other people about it. I'm nodding because that was me. I just internalized it all. So why are we so afraid to share how we're feeling with others?
Nobody wants to be, I think I'm speaking for myself, I think like you
Mm.
don't want to be the odd man out. Now I don't care, like I'm living a very
Mm-mm.
very different life from a lot of people, and again I found the people that are living a life that are similar to mine, but the desire for safety, for belonging, for love is the
Mm.
most primal thing we have. And sharing something that will odd us out is threatening that, and nobody wants to do that. And I think that's why there's a lot of shame around, again, just being different, thinking differently, wanting different things. And I think part of my life's mission is also saying like, no, like you get to choose, and that's
Mm.
kind of dismantle this shame around wanting another life. And I think now I'm already, we didn't get to this part of the story, but like I feel like I'm already in the next cycle of my own evolution, that after like
Mm.
achieving and achieving and achieving, I'm like, okay, that's not my definition of success anymore. Like I get to
Yeah.
define what success means to me, and I
Yes.
get to say if I'm enough or not enough by my own standard, not by society's standards, and not what my friends are thinking or what Instagram is thinking or what other people
Mm-hmm.
is thinking. Because today I understand that no matter what this definition and how close you are, once you don't define success on your own terms, you will never be happy. Like never. I don't think it's possible.
So how do we figure out what our version of success is? This sounds like a game changer. So how do we do it? How did you do it?
I think just started asking myself this question. Like it's so simple, but it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
And it's just asking yourself small questions of like, what makes me happy? And not even happy. I wanna like happiness is a tricky word, but I like to differentiate. Does this feel good? And when I say good, it can be a range of positive emotions. It can be calmness, it can be joy, it can be
Mm.
happiness, it can be satisfaction, but something that just feels good. And differentiate with things that don't feel good. It can be stressful, it can be overwhelming, it can be shameful, it can be upsetting, whatever it is. And again, and I think a lot of people just, and we're even when we're talking about work and leisure, I don't go by these terms anymore. So for
Mm.
example, like everybody's like, "Oh, going on vacation with your friends, that's a good thing. That will make me happy." But no, that again, on the outside this can look good and work can look
Mm.
bad, but it just depends on how things feel for you. And this is how I operate now. Like, is this person making me feel good after I'm meeting them? Do I feel like full? Do I feel like good about myself, about the situation? Do I feel comfortable? Do I
Mm-hmm.
feel expansive? Or I don't? Does this make me like cringe or contract or like tightness anyway? And this is how I differentiate what's gonna make me happy, what's good for me. Again, there's
Mm.
no absolute thing because you can say like, again, I'm taking the weirdest example that's popping in my mind, like going on vacation. I don't know, maybe you're not a person that likes to go on vacation. You shouldn't feel shame about it. Do you want to spend
Mm.
your day on your couch eating snacks in your underwear? Amazing. That's what makes you feel good. Good for you.
I
Do it.
love it.
Your
Mm-hmm.
success. Like, I'm fine with that. Just understand what makes you happy, or again, happy, we're using like this broad term, and go with
Mm-mm.
that.
So, how do we get the courage and the self awareness to realize what makes us happy, what brings us joy, how certain things make us feel? Because I know it can be quite scary and intimidating. We're not raised in a way, generally, to question everything.
That's true.
So, how do we get there? It seems like a really big jump and is probably scary for a lot of people. So, where do we start with that? Is there an easy win?
Start small. That's always my
Mm-hmm.
answer for everything. You don't have to change, by the way, you don't have to change anything. You don't have to change
Okay.
anything about your current life. In, like you said, the first piece is self awareness. Just start asking small questions. Don't start with, like, is this relationship making me happy or not? Like, no, that's a big question. But we can
That is a
ask,
big question.
what do I like to do in the morning? Like, what makes me
Mm,
happy? What kind of workout do I like? Maybe I've been running for the past couple of years, but do I ever like actually like running, or do I like yoga? Like, do I what,
mm,
just in small things? What food makes me happy? And again, you don't even have to change your workout or change your food. Just ask yourself. And I think the way to create change that isn't
mm,
overwhelming and isn't scary is through curiosity. We don't want to push
mm,
ourselves into change again. And the brain, and we're going to get to mental fitness in a second, the brain has two parts like operating system. One is with this negative side, all the negative emotions and thought live in this side. And this side is when we push ourselves to to create a change, or push ourselves to do something. All the hustle culture, all the toxic positivity, everything lives on
mm-hmm.
this. If we want to create a true change that is aligned with ourselves, it's got to be through curiosity. We're going to pull ourselves into creating change. And curiosity is just, like children, they're walking around the beach and they're so curious, like, oh, this is a
Mm,
rock. What's this rock? What's underneath this thing? What does this do? Right? They have like this very innocent curiosity. There's no shame there. And also, it doesn't have to lead anywhere. Sometimes they're just asking questions. They're not going to do anything
yes.
about it. They're just curious. And this is, I think, the best way to start creating a change. Just be curious. Like, I don't know, does this food make me happy? Like, do I feel good after eating it? Start questioning, and this is the next step. Start questioning everything, but in a small way. The TV shows you watch on Netflix,
Uh-huh.
the music you listen, the podcast you listen, the people you follow on Instagram. If you see somebody, and sometimes we follow people and it's just like, ugh, it's a cringe, and you're like, oh, this person,
Mm.
ask yourself, like, why am I following? Just unfollow this person. It starts with small things, and I really believe in the fact that small changes build up to create a big change. So we
Yeah.
don't have to quit our job. Yes, I did all these things, but you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to change profession. You don't have to do anything drastic. A lot of the time, and this is like, my entire company is called Leisure Hacker. It's just how to hack small things into our life, because
Mm.
a lot of the time, this is what contributes to our overall happiness day to day.
I love that you said being curious doesn't have to lead anywhere. There's not an end destination. And I think that's a big mindset shift for us. We're taught there has to be this end goal. In school, you set your goals, you achieve your goal, and that's the way it is. There doesn't have to be a specific outcome. I think that's a big one. And the other thing that stood out to me on what you were just saying is those small, consistent changes. A lot of us underestimate the power of that. It reminds me of what's the book called? Atomic Habits by James Clear. He
Yeah.
preaches that. He's not the one who sort of coined that, but it's so true. I know for me, sometimes I roll my eyes like, oh, really? That's not going to make a difference. Like, I can't be bothered. Whatever. When I get over myself, actually, it does make a difference. And I feel great, even if it's just the smallest, tiniest little change. I'm going to have a new routine in the morning or whatever it is. I think it is very powerful. But before I get totally sidetracked on that, I'm sort of assuming a lot of this, right, is about mental fitness. But can you give us like a broad, not too complicated definition, and then let's dive into the nitty gritty. So, what is mental fitness?
Okay. So, just like we have physical fitness, we have mental fitness. So,
Mm-hmm.
imagine you can be, by the way, mental fitness and mental health is not the same thing. Just like physical
Mm-hmm.
fitness and physical health is not the same thing. Because you can be completely healthy. There's nothing quote unquote wrong with you. You're not
Mm-hmm.
sick in something, but you can still be not fit. And if you're not physically
Mm-hmm.
fit and you're trying to climb a big mountain, you will feel physical stress. You will get to that, if you can make it to the top, by the way,
Right.
you will get
Right.
there very sweaty and hyperventilating, right? You're not
Mm.
physically fit. The same thing with mental fitness. You can be completely mentally healthy, again, like, and you're not mentally fit. And if you're not mentally fit and you're trying to climb a mountain, in our case, reach a certain goal, you will feel mental stress when doing it. So you're either not going to
Mm.
reach your goal and get to the top. And if you will get there sweaty and hyperventilating, which is what we all call stress, anxiety, overwhelming, burnout.
Mm.
That's the
Mm.
symptoms of trying to climb a mountain and not be mentally fit. And a more scientific kind of definition, mental fitness is the amount and strength of our negative thoughts versus our positive thoughts. And it goes from one,
Mm.
it's an actual score. We call it PQ. So like we have IQ and EQ, we also have a PQ score, which is a positive intelligence quotient score. It measures our mental fitness from 1 to 100. So if our mental fitness is 34, it means that there's 60, what did I say? 34, 66% of the time we operate, we think negative thoughts versus positive thoughts.
Wow.
We
Mm.
operate from the negative part of our brain versus our positive. And just imagine, like, I can be super smart, super talented, have all this knowledge, work really hard in my business or in my work, whatever it is. But all of these things are just our potential at every given moment. What determines if we realize that potential is our mental fitness, because I can be in this presentation and then there's this, again, voice in the back of my mind that's telling me, like, hey, who do you think you are? Like, shut up,
Yeah.
don't speak up. People are going to laugh at you, whatever it is. And if I'm not mentally fit and strong enough, I will listen to this voice and I'm not going to speak up. So I'm going to get the project and I'm going to get the money I deserve. I'm not going to ask this cute boy in a bar for his phone number because I'm going to be afraid. Fear will lead the way. But if I am mentally
Mm.
fit enough or mentally strong, I have more positive thoughts than negative ones. And then these voices, they never go away, but they're muted in our mind. And we can follow our positive voice of, again, curiosity, of action, focus, productivity, ambition, motivation. It all lives in this part of our brain. So, what we do in mental fitness, we help people train these muscles of our brain to operate more times out of the positive part of their brain and from their positive thoughts versus the negative ones, if that makes sense.
Mm. And that was going to be my next question. Is mental fitness something we're born with or can we learn
Oh.
it? And it sounds like we can learn it.
Just like physical fitness, some people are more prone to be physically fit, they have good
Yeah.
genetics, it's easier for them to work out, it's going to be easier for them to get in a really good shape. But
Hmm.
just like physical fitness, mental fitness, again, some people have a lower kind of starting point. They're more round around they have like muffin tops, you know. So it's going to take them more training to get to that fit score they want. But
Right.
it's
Yeah.
possible for everybody. Even I've worked with people that have very, very low scores, and we got them in a very, very short amount, which is why I like the practice. Get them
Mm,
amazing, amazing results in a very, very short amount of time with the right training, with the right muscles, and with the right exercises.
mm. How do we figure out how mentally fit we are? Because I wouldn't know where to start. And I'd just assume, yeah, I suck, that negative self talk, which is probably a sign of some, negative mental fitness there. But how do we like do a litmus test? Where am I starting from?
First of all, there's a free assessment you can actually take. There's a
Well,
test.
there we go.
You can write PQ score assessment and it will take you to
Beautiful.
the positive intelligence sign. By the way, everything that I'm talking about is based in science. It is not something I invented. I want to give
Mm-mm.
credit to Positive Intelligence, which is the company that I learned from and I work with, and they created all of it. It's rooted in the latest breakthroughs in neuroscience and positive psychology and behavioral psychology. Like it's
Mm.
all there. Go to their website, take the assessment, and you'll see your score. Don't get freaked by the score. It's usually when
Okay.
people take it and they're truthful about themselves, the score isn't the highest, and that's okay. But we want to know where we're starting from. But if we don't want to take the score, this is for my more left brain people that are watching, that are listening. But if you just feel like you have all this potential and you kind of know what you want, but it feels like there is an invisible wall between you and your goal, and like you're working really hard and you feel like something is holding you back and you don't really know what it is. This is how I felt for a very long time. I'm like, I'm super smart,
Mm.
I'm motivated, I'm a hard worker, but still something is blocking me from reaching my goals. Like it really felt like this invisible wall. And I'm like, I keep banging my head over it.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is. It's probably because your mental fitness score is lower.
That resonates. So, okay, we've all probably got some improvement to do, right, in our mental fitness. So, what can we do? Are you able to share with us maybe something simple we could do to start improving our mental fitness?
So, 100%. First of all, we already talked about it, starting with self awareness, because it's
Mm,
about we can't change something we're not aware of. But here's my kind of like adjustment on self awareness. A lot of us, especially if we're in this like personal development space, we're already done a few things. We went to therapy or coaching, we read a few books, we're like, can self diagnose ourselves
yeah.
having some sort of problem. But that's not the kind of awareness that I want us to start practicing,
Mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm.
it's one thing for I'm a productivity coach. A lot of my work is around productivity. So it's one thing when you say, oh, I'm a procrastinator. So easy to say, oh, I have ADHD,
Yeah.
or struggle to focus. That's one level of self-awareness, which is really, really general. What I want us to start practicing, and everybody that is listening, start catching the procrastination as it happens. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
just a general, oh, I'm a procrastinator, I know, I'm going to read a book about it. When you're sitting on your computer and your brain is just like, I don't want to do this task, let's get a snack, or let's go get another coffee, or let's grab
Mm-hmm.
our phone. So this second, when there's a neuron transmitting to another neuron, hey, get the phone, pick up the phone, this is
Mm-hmm.
when you need to catch it. Now, it sounds super complicated. It just takes practice. It just takes practice of starting becoming more aware of when you're, let's say, procrastinating in real life or whatever is holding you back. By the way, there's certain patterns we work with in mental fitness that we can diagnose and help people become more self aware, but start paying attention to when it happens to the moment. When are you talking to yourself negatively? Like, when is this little voice in the back of your mind saying something to you that, like, you're not good
Mm.
enough, here we're not gonna, like, don't do this. Every time you feel a negative emotion, it means that there's a negative thought behind it. And if we're able to start being more aware of it when it happens, it's going to be easier for us to change that.
Okay. Okay, so we're becoming more self aware, which takes practice.
Yes.
We're noticing these negative thoughts or emotions, behaviors. So, what's the next step?
The next step is question them. Like, if you catch that little voice telling you, like, oh, you're not good enough to send this proposal or pitch this something or
Mm-hmm.
do this presentation at work or go on this date or whatever we're trying to get, question it, like, is this actually true? Is this thought benefiting me? Do I want to think this way? Because our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts are choices. And when we learn how to catch the negative ones, we get to choose, do we want to think this way? Now, I know it sounds very, very like, oh, okay, it's easy to say, hard to do, but it's literally, it's a muscle in our brain that we can start practicing. And now I'm going to say something that most people are not going to like. In order to do that, we have to slow down. If we are
Mm-hmm.
rushing through our day and we're just like working, 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 going on this, talking to people, and we don't slow down, it's gonna be really, really hard for us to catch thoughts or change them. Because our thoughts, we have 60,000 of them during the day. We're not gonna be able to catch 10% of them, but we're not going to be able to catch any of them if we're just on autopilot. We need to
Mm-hmm.
step out of the autopilot. And in order to do that, we have to slow down and be more intentional and stop to ask questions. We can't run and ask ourselves and be curious at the same time. It just doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? It's just the same mechanism we have again with fight or flight. When we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing a bear in the woods, we can't run and make a sandwich in the same way. It doesn't work this way. Or we can't like come up with the idea. Now, the bear isn't a bear, is a deadline from our boss that is stressing us out. It's triggering the same fight or flight response. We don't feel it as much as running from a bear, but our nervous system does. Our nervous system translates
Wow.
a lot of minor things like deadlines or bills to pay or our partner saying, like, we have to talk. We're like, oh my God, something is happening. This fight or flight is triggered. And then we can't be curious at this moment. We can't
Mm-hmm.
digest in this moment. We can't think clearly in this moment. We can't change anything in this moment because we're in survival mode. And you will be astonished by the number of times during the day when we're in this fight or flight response when we don't even feel it. You can be sitting in your computer and on the surface you might not feel this, anxiety or stress or panic attack, but it's going on in the back of our mind. And then it's really, really hard to again create a positive change, think positive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
build our mental fitness. We have to slow down and calm down our mind, calm down our nervous system in order to be able to even create this change.
So it's sounding like, please correct me if I've misinterpreted this, that slowing down will help us avoid, at least some of the time, going into that fight or flight response. Have I got that right?
In a way, yes, because a second before we this fight or flight is triggered, if we're more calm, we can actually kind of again choose another thought that won't trigger this response. Or, and by the way, and it goes back to the beginning of the episode that you didn't record it, it shows great mental fitness that you didn't go into like, oh my God, shit, I didn't record the episode, what am I gonna do,
Yeah.
like frantic. We just said like, oh cool, no worries, press record, and we just started over. And it shows me like we both have great mental fitness because a lot of it is not just getting avoiding the stress response, because sometimes it's impossible.
Mm,
Stress is
mm,
just everywhere. Like,
it is.
I'm living in the most stressful country. Like, we're all living different
Yeah.
kind of levels of stress. Social media is stressful. The news is stressful. Everything that's going on in the world is stressful right now. So I think that trying to avoid stress is kind of mission impossible. But what I
Mm.
want us to start working on is resilience, which for me means I can get triggered. This fight or flight switch can be turned on, but then I bounce back really quickly and continue with my day. That's true mental fitness in my book. Because
Mm.
again, how can we like some things are just stressful. And if we're trying gonna stress, I'm gonna avoid this, I'm gonna avoid the news, I'm gonna
Yeah,
avoid
good
social
luck,
media,
right?
I'm
Mm.
gonna avoid people, I'm gonna avoid my parents, my boss, everybody. Like I'm just gonna sit at home and be a hermit and not feel any stress. Like good luck. But if we're
Hmm.
living in real life and we have bills to pay and people to take care of and jobs, it is stressful. Like this is life. But
Yeah.
when we build mental fitness, we feel the stress, but we're resilient. We can really, really bounce back and continue and switch on to that productive, focused, calm way of thinking.
Mm. So, does resilience, this is probably a bit of a complicated answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Does resilience come from practice? Because, like you said, we can't avoid stress, that is out of our control. But we can control our self awareness and making the small changes and slowing down. So, is the key to resilience just practicing these things? What else is there to it? Mm.
100%. And I'm going back to my analogy with physical fitness and small changes, by the way. Imagine you're going to the gym. You're not going
Mm.
to pick up 100 kilos, right? You're going to start small. You're going to pick up in the gym small weights, build that muscle so that when you move apartment next time, you can pick up a really, really heavy box and it's not going to
Mm-hmm.
bother you because you practice those muscles in the gym. In mental fitness, we have a mental gym. We create practices for specific mental muscles. We build
Mm-hmm.
this muscle so that when we have a stressful deadline, a big bill to pay, whatever it is, we're not as bothered because we have strong mental muscles to carry the load of the stress. So we're not trying to
Mm.
avoid stress, we're just building more fitness to carry the stress and the load of it with more ease.
Mm. That resonates. And it makes me think because I live full time in my van and I converted it myself. I'm not a builder or a carpenter. I had no idea what I was doing. So many things went wrong. Jenny, so many things. I started and thought, this is going to be done in 6 months. It took me 4 years. That's how out of sync I was with what it would involve. And initially, I would get very frustrated and angry when something would go wrong. And I'm not going to say that I stopped getting frustrated and angry, but my tolerance and my resilience for when things went wrong is so much better now than it was 4 years ago. And most recently, I've had some really big mechanical issues with the van. It's like, this is my home, and I couldn't drive anywhere, do anything for months. Old me probably would have had a bit of a breakdown. Like, it would have sent me in a downward spiral. And yeah, I wasn't feeling great for a while. But, after a couple of days, I'm like, well, this is out of my control. What is in my control? Well, I can start seeing who can repair it. I can start saving some money. And it's cost me a lot of money to fix, $10,000. But I'm not going to let that freak me out. It's like, okay, let's just roll with it. And now my van is working and I'm doing my podcast. And I think that resilience has very much been improved from my experience building this van. It's really taught me problem solving and just, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Most things have a solution. There are extreme cases where there isn't, but most things, there's a solution, there's a way forward. Maybe it's not the solution we wanted, but it's there if we look for it. So that resonates. But I want to, you mentioned earlier you're a productivity coach, but you also said, guys, you need to slow down. So
Yes.
Jenny, I'm confused. How can you be productive and slow? What is going on?
I think this is the biggest misconception of the productivity world, that you need
Mm-hmm.
to go, go, go in order to get results. And this is completely, I don't believe it. I think we need to slow down to speed up, because if we're going full speed ahead and neutral, or we don't know where we're going, we're not going to get there. We're just going to burn ourselves out. And I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So, how I teach, my method that I developed is mindful productivity, which is exactly how to get results without burning yourself out. That is
Mm-hmm.
stress-free productivity. And yes, it can happen. It can go together. And on the contrary, when our mind, again, we're going through this stress response of our brain, when we're stressed, when we're in this hustle mentality, go, 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 we just want to achieve more things, we're in this fight or flight mode. What our brain does, we create this tunnel vision. Stress narrows down our brain into seeing only more problems, only one way. When
Mm-hmm.
slow down, when we calm down our nervous system, when we relax, we open our brain to see more solutions, more possibilities, more way out, and we can achieve more things in less time. That's true productivity for me. Productivity is not just teaching people how to do more and get more done in like I don't want to do more. I don't want to do more.
Mm.
Like I've done years of wanting to do more. I don't want to do more. I just want to achieve more. And I don't need
Oh.
to do more for that. I need to do less, but better.
Oh. Tell me a bit more. You don't want to do more, you want to achieve more. I have never heard that.
I
Tell me the
don't, do
difference.
you want to work more? Who wants to work more? Like, it's so, let's step outside of the metrics and the hustle mentality, especially if
Uh
you're
huh.
working for yourself. I don't want to be working more hours. That's the
Yeah,
opposite of,
no thanks.
I just want to, again, with my business, my goals is to earn a certain amount of money, and I want to create an impact on a certain amount of people. And again, going back to our own definition of success, I know what success means to me. I know this number of money that I want to make, and I know the number of people that I feel like, wow, this is a great impact for me. For one person, it can be $1,000 per month. For another person, it can be $100,000 per month. And there's nothing wrong with either of these numbers or anything in between, as long as you say, this is good enough for me. Amazing.
Mm.
We have our goals. And by the way, it doesn't mean like setting a bar around enough, and I call it enoughness. Doesn't
Mm.
mean we don't want to do more or be better, but it just means that we're, again, not operating from this mechanism of shame, guilt, hustle.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
know when it's enough. And when we're relaxed, I promise you that we can get way better results, because we're not just running around like a headless chicken and just doing more things and just like crossing off to-do lists. We're
Mm.
very, when we're in mindful productivity, I teach focus, clarity, calmness, like you said, problem solving, decision making. When we know what we need to do, we know how to prioritize it, we know how to focus and get the things done. We don't need to do more. We just need to do better.
Mm. This is sounding very much part of purpose. What do you think? Does purpose or having a purpose in life, does that have anything to do with this mental fitness?
I think so. I think that purpose is a big term.
Yeah.
I spent years searching for my purpose. There's air
Oh, I
quotes,
get it.
but I want to say that my perspective. I think we're all here, and this is kind of me getting a little more spiritual. I think that we're all here to live out some kind of purpose. But I don't
Mm.
want people like me spending years just finding it, because I feel like, again, that
Yeah.
finding it is just like, I have to find my purpose. Like, this was
Yeah.
years, again, pushing from that part of our brain, pushing, needing, have to. It's not the way to our purpose. I believe that our purpose and our happiness goes together. Like, there's no
Mm.
way that your purpose isn't going to make you happy. It
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work this way. So I feel like if more people were on the pursuit of their happiness, they will find their purpose on the way, on this path.
Mm.
So
Mm.
instead of just sitting at home and finding your purpose and doing like multiple ikigais and tests on the internet and personality tests and reading books about your purpose, Okay, these are fine. And again, I'm not laughing. This was me for years, literally sitting at home trying to find my purpose. But then I realized that purpose is also in the smallest thing. Purpose can be multiple things. It can be motherhood,
Mm-hmm.
it can be volunteering, it can be just being kind to people, can be your purpose in life. So you don't have to find it. It doesn't have to be this big thing.
Yeah,
Follow the path of your happiness and what makes you happy. You can make your purpose out of it.
I love that so much. And I was laughing as you were talking about obsessing over finding your purpose because I did exactly the same and it really stressed me out. It wasn't helping me at all. I very much listened to Simon Sinek and he talks about start with why, which is essentially purpose. And I'll preface this, I like Simon Sinek. He's a great guy. He's got a lot of good stuff to say. However, he says you have one why, it doesn't change. That is it. And I spent years trying to figure out what's my purpose? Why don't I know my purpose? What is it? Oh my God, oh my God. But I think our purpose can change. I think it is a journey. And I love how you suggested that if we follow our happiness, we're going to find our purpose along the way. That's a beautiful way of putting it. I don't think our purpose is a set destination.
No, I think some like life is not a set destination. Life is a journey. And I also like, and again, this is my personal perspective and personal development.
Mm,
You don't have to take it, but I don't think that personal development is about change or becoming somebody else or finding something on
mm,
the outside. It's just a journey back home because we are already our most perfect best selves deep down inside. And sometimes it's very, very deep, and sometimes it's buried under layers of societal conditioning and our own
uh-huh.
bullshit and the stress of finding our why and all of these things. But also our purpose is inside of us. Like the answer is there. We don't have to go somewhere to find it. We just need to,
Mm.
again, if we slow down and we quiet our mind and we clear all these bullshit thoughts, it's going to be easier for us to see this purpose instead of finding this purpose.
Oh, yeah. I love how you referred to it as, how did you say it? Finding our way back home. It's already inside us, and I believe that too. I think we have everything we need. We just have to. It's in there. We just got to peel back the layers, peel
Exactly.
back all the conditioning and the grooming and the whatever, all the expectations, and rediscover who we are. I think many of us hold beliefs or values that aren't actually our own. We've never stopped to question
Mhm.
them.
Which brings us back to the beginning of the conversation. How do you know if this thought is your own, or
Uh huh.
does this feel good? Because again, our truth always feels good. Our purpose always feels good. And again, not just finding our happiness, because happy, it doesn't have to be like happy, happy, joy, joy,
Mm,
but
mm,
it's
mm.
just, does it feel good? And when you know something feels good, you know it's your truth. And if you keep following this in the smallest things, you will get there. You will get
Yes.
closer to there. I don't believe there is a there to get, but you will get closer and closer to this, again, happiness, purpose, why, and just your greatest joy, because you won't be led by external conditioning or thoughts, just your own.
And I think it's similar to what you were saying about mental fitness, or I guess it is part of mental fitness. The more you practice listening to yourself and how it makes you feel, the easier it becomes and the more self aware you become.
Mhm.
So I think I'm a lot better now at recognizing the signs of, oh, this doesn't feel right. This is just not aligned. This is not me. And then, yeah, I take a beat. I pause. I need to slow down, like, okay, where to from here? Whereas when I push through that and go, no, I have to do it, this is what's expected of me, or people are going to judge me, usually it doesn't turn out. Like things go wrong and the consequences aren't great for me or anybody else, actually.
100%.
I've got a final question for you. I can't wait to hear your answer. Not putting pressure on you at all here.
Not at all.
It's something I ask all my guests, and I just love the diversity of the answers. So I'd love to know, what does freedom mean to you?
Good question. I think I think this is what we talked. I think freedom to be who I am. And it
Mm.
can be a very successful keynote speaker on stage one day, and it can be me on the couch in my underwear binge watching Netflix for 24 hours without moving. Like, just the freedom to do and be what makes me happy. For me, this is like true freedom. Um, and as a productivity coach, I will say freedom of time, because I think that freedom of time is what gives me the ability to
Mm.
slow down, to be myself. Because if I had to work more hours than I actually am, I won't have time for slowing down, and like it allows me to create
Mm.
this life that I want for myself. So
Mm.
both.
I'm curious, is that something you've ever thought about before? What freedom is to you? Or did that just that just came out?
I think a lot of my, if we're talking about a lot of my past life as an entrepreneur in the past years has been around the pursuit of freedom. And in the beginning, it
Mm.
was being location independent, and then being financial independent. And then,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, I have a strong obsession around time. And for me, it was always about having time freedom and having time to, again, be and do what I want and what makes me happy. So I think also leisure hacking, a lot of it is the pursuit of freedom in a way. So I think this is why
Yeah.
we also resonate and
Yeah.
have a similar energy, because I think it's really, really similar. But I love this question. Thank you for asking it.
Of course. I'm totally digressing here, but one of my dreams I've realized, I don't know if dream's the word, but something I want to work towards is after hearing all these definitions of guests about freedom, I think I want to turn it into a book or something because
Wow.
it's just, and I don't know how I would do that. So if anyone's got any ideas, help. Um, I think it would be fascinating because freedom, I mean, it could sound a little bit unrealistic, but I think we all deserve that. And freedom, much like success, is different to everybody.
Mhm.
And I very much resonated when you said that when you started your entrepreneurial journey, a lot of it was about the freedom and initially the time and the money freedom. And it turns into a lot more than that. But I think that's why a lot of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, that's why we start this path. We want more freedom and more control and
Yeah.
to live more aligned. And that's who the bulk of my listeners are. So you're talking to the right people.
Amazing. My kind of people.
Yeah, yeah. If you had one hot take that you want listeners to go away with, like if they forget everything from this conversation, is there one thing you would like them to walk away with?
Slow down. Slow
Mm.
down. Take a deep breath in the start of your morning, before you do any task, before you get into the next fight or the next project, before you get stressed. Slow down and take a breath, and everything is going to be better from there. Like, I promise you.
Mm. Yes. Slow down. I need that reminder too.
Slow
Jenny, thank
down
you
to
so
speed up.
much. Oh, yeah, slow down to speed up. Isn't that a juxtaposition? I love it. I have learnt so much in this conversation. So thank you for being so generous with your time and wisdom. And I can't wait to hear what listeners think of this episode because I think they're going to love it. So thank you
Amazing.
again.
Thank you so much for having me.